Hello guys, it is Shivam here. Welcome back to our channel. Today we have an exciting tutorial for you. We will be showing you how to create a fully functional news app in Flutter using the News API org. In this video, you will learn fetching real-time news data from the News API, creating a stunning user-friendly news app interface using a carousel slider in Flutter, showing WebView in Flutter, plus we sprinkle in some expert tips and tricks along the way to make your app stand out from the crowd. If you are ready to get started, hit that like button and subscribe to our channel for more awesome content. So let's get started. But before moving to the last part of our awesome news app series, I want to show how our incredible app will look alike. So here is my complete news app. So it is a landing page now, and you can see the image and the text we have written news from around the world for you. Now I will click on the get started button and we will move to the home page of the app. So at the top you can see the different category like business, entertainment, general, health, sports. Now you can see a breaking news section here with a carousel slider which is moving automatically, and you can see all the top breaking news here with the image and the title. And just at the bottom you can see the trending news section where you can see all the news in the trending section. So when you will click to any of the category like business, then you will move to the page named business here, and you can see all the news related to the business here. Now if you will click on any of the news, then you will move to the web view of that news so that you can read the news on more detail. Now let's move back to the home page again, and when I will click on the sports, then it will show me all the news related to the sports here, and will click it on again and can read the news on more detail. Now let's go back. So in the breaking news section you can see view all. So when you will click on the view all, then you can see all the breaking news, and when you will click on any other breaking news, as same you can read that news on more detail. Now let's go back, and in the trending news section you can see the different news, and when we'll click on the news again, then you can read that news also in more detail. Now view all. So in view all you can read all the news related to the trending news. We will use a news API here which will work as the backend of our app. So let me take you to the news API website from where you will get the specific API key, and that key you can use on the app to access all the API here. So now as you can see here, if we need all the articles about Tesla from the last month, then we can use this API and can see all the news related to the Tesla in our app. Now we have added the different category in our app. So from here we can set the category according to our choice. Now it is showing a business, so it will show all the news related to business here. Now if you are looking for the specific source, then you can use this API on the app. So now let's move to the code and develop the app from scratch. So now we will start the developing app from the scratch. So let's move and will create a folder named pages here. Inside the pages folder, I will create a new file named home.dart here. Now inside the home.dart file, I will create a stateful widget named home here. So I will write a scaffold widget here, body, container. Will write a app bar here because my app name, because I want to show my app name at the top of the screen. So I will use app bar here. Now app bar, title, row. Inside the row, I will pass a to text here because I want to show Flutter in black color and news in blue color. So I will pass a to text inside the row. Now I'll give some styling to a news text here. So style, text style. I will pass the color here, blue, and font weight dot bold. So as you can see, the text appear on our emulator, but it is on the left side of the screen. So I need to move this text bottom of the screen. So I will make the app bar center title to true. Also, we'll make the elevation to 0 because I want to remove any default elevation given by the app bar here. Now we also need to write main axis alignment makes main axis alignment dot center to center the text here. So as you can see, the text are on the center of the screen now. So after the app bar, I want to show all the list of categories here. So I will create a stateless widget name category tile here. Basically in category tile, we'll give some styling to a category we want to show in and we'll pass image and category name here. As I have shown you in the UI, there will be a image and at the top of that using a stack widget we'll write a category name. So in container I will pass a child stack here and will write image.asset and will get the images from the asset folder will create in this VS Code. So I'm writing image.asset image and will pass a width and height of the image. So to get the image, I will create a list here and we will call that list in the home page and through that we will show all the category in the home page. So I will create a new folder named model here. Now inside the models folder, I will create a new file name category model.dart. In category model.dart, we'll create a class and we'll pass a two string name, image and name, which will be the image of the category and the name we want to pass. Now I will create one more folder named services here. Now inside the services folder, I will create a new file name data.dart where I will create a list of category model here and will call that category model in the home page and will show all the category in the home page. So I will create a list name get categories here and will pass a category model so that we can get the string category name and image that we have wrote inside the category model. Now I will add the category name and image one by one and will store them in the list name category here. So our first category name is business and in category model dot image I will pass the images that we have saved on the images folder here. So let me save some of the images for the each category here. So as you can see in the images folder, I had saved all the category images that we will needed to create a category inside our home page, and we'll save that in the list name category here. So let me save all the category name and image inside the category list. Now we'll return a category where we have saved all the list. So it is done. Now let's move to the home page and we'll call this get categories inside the list. So I make a list name categories here and will pass a category model, and in the init state I will assign the all the list to a categories that we have saved on get categories function. Now let's move to the container and we'll create a column widget here. Now we'll create a container and we'll pass a list view dot builder. The reason for writing the list view dot builder is because I want to show all the list that we have saved on categories here, and will pass the each list that we have saved in the categories to a category tile where it will show us the category name and category image in the form of container. So in item count I am passing a categories length and will return a category tile, and image will pass a one by one images that we have saved in the categories here, and same for the name. Let me also explain you what does categories index.image does here. So categories, if the index is 0, then it will take the first list that we have saved in the categories section here, which will be a business image. As you can see on the top that we have saved first business list here. So it will get the image of the business.jpg inside the image and will pass to a category tile and will show the image and name according to that. So let me do hot restart. So as you can see, our app is not reading the image that we have saved inside the images folder. Basically, we need to start the complete app again and relaunch the project again. So give me a second, let me relaunch the project again. So as you can see, we have successfully relaunched the project, and you can now see the all the images that we have saved inside the images folder in the form of list view. But as you can see, the images are in the vertical position, but I want to show all the images in the horizontal portion. So I will move to the list view dot builder and will write inside the scroll direction that axis dot horizontal. Now we'll hot restart it again. So we are facing some error here. We had forgot to pass the height inside the container. So I'm passing the height to the container here. Now you can see the images in the horizontal position. But we need to fix some height and width of the images here. So I will use a fit boxfit.cover, and it is now using the complete width that we have provided. Now the images are stuck with each another, so we'll provide some margin here. So we'll provide edge inset dot only right 16 to provide the margin at the right side of the each category here. Now I'll wrap up the image.asset with the clip react to provide some border radius to a image here, and we'll pass a border radius. So now we want to show a category name here. So I will write one more container here, and in the text widget we'll pass a category name and we'll give some style to a category name here. So I'm writing colors.white. We'll pass some color to a container to so that we can see the image clearly. So now you can see the image inside the images that we had passed. Now we'll use a center widget to make a text to the center of the image. Now we'll provide some border radius to this container now. So we'll pass a border radius to the container. Now we'll give some font size to a text here, and we'll write font size 14, and we'll pass a font weight W500. I also want to provide to some margin to the first category we see here. So I will provide margin h insert dot only left 10.0. So now it looks good here. So now I am doing some more customization to a category tile here to look it more attractive for the user who are using the app. If you have any other idea to provide more styling to a category tile here, then you can go in your way too. So our category section is done. Now I want to provide the breaking news that I have shown you in the UI. So that is a moving container which will be shown one after the another. The moving container which I have shown you on the UI is known as Carousel Slider here. So we need to go to the pub dev and we need to copy the Carousel Slider package from the pubdev and we need to paste it inside the perspecaml file. Now run this package. Now let's move to the home.dart file. Now just below the category, I will write carousel slider.builder to show all the slider that we want to show inside the breaking news. But we need to show the image and the text at the top of the image in the carousel slider. So to save the image and the text, I will go to the model and will create a slider model.dart file here. Now we will create a class name slider model here and will pass a toString name, one for the name of the slider and second for the image. Now inside the services folder, I will create a slider data.dart file where I will save all the data in the list that we want to show in the carousel slider. So I will move to the data.dart file and copy the all the data from here and paste it inside the slider data.dart file because it will be same just like the what we have shown in the category section. I will just make some changes to the code here and will give a get slider function here and will pass a list name slider and will save the list one by one that we want to show in the carousel slider. So let me save all the three lists inside the slider list that we have created. So it is done. Now let's move to the home.dart file and we'll get the all the slider that we have saved in the get slider function and we'll get them according to what we have done for the get categories function here and we'll pass a list name slider here and in init state I will save all the list inside the slider list here. The reason for calling the list inside the init state is because whenever the app is launches, then init state is the first function that usually calls and then the whole app function starts. So as soon as the home page is called, I want that to save all the list that we have passed in the home page here so that it takes just a few seconds to show all the categories, slider and news to us in just a few seconds. So now I will create a widget name build image here, and in build image we'll pass a image and the index will pass the image index and the name that we want to show in the slider here. So I will create a container here. Now inside the container I want to pass the image that we want to show in the slider form. We'll create a child image.asset and will pass the image that we have saved on the images folder here. For now, I am using the images that are saved on the images folder here. But when we call the API using the news API, then I will use a image.network to show all the images in the breaking news section. Will pass a with media query dot of context dot size dot width. I have wrote the widget outside the scaffold widget here. That's why it is showing the error inside the context. So I will paste it inside the scaffold widget. So it is done. So in item.count, I will pass the slider.length, which is our list name sliders, and will get the length using .length function here. And item builder will pass the each index of the list and will use a variable name res here, and in res variable will pass a each string and will return it to build image. So first we need the image here. So it is asking that in res we should pass a string. So slider.index.image and will remove a final and will write a string. So it is done. Now we'll do same for the name. So I've created a string name res1, and through the index we'll get the name of the each list here and we'll pass it to the widget name build image. Now inside the option I will pass a carousel option. Basically carousel option is something which help us to provide the many features how we want to show the carousel slider here. So I give a height 200 because I want to show the slider with the height 200 here. Viewport fraction 1. Viewport fraction 1 because I want to show one image at a time in our home screen and want to enlarge the center page, so I will make it to true. So let me hot reload. We are facing some error here. So let me hot restart it again. So now as you can see we have got the slider here, but it is not in the autoplay form. I want that slider to move automatically without moving the slider one by one manually. So I will go to the carousel option and will make autoplay to true and will hot restart it again. So now as you can see our sliders are moving automatically. So now I will remove the enlarge center page and viewport fraction and will hot restart it again. So now as you can see the other two slider also. Now I will enlarge the center page to true. Now you can see it is enlarging the center page. I will provide some height. So now let's move to the build image widget here. Now we'll wrap up the image.asset with the clip react to provide some border radius to the image here and we'll provide some margin because as you can see each slider has been stuck with each another. We'll hot restart it again. Now it's look good. So when you go to the carousel option, you can see there are the many more features you can use according to your need. You can see reverse, false true, and autoplay interval, autoplay animation duration, in how much time you want to move to the next slider. You can also give the duration here and many more things you can try according to your need. So now I want to show the text at the top of the each image here. So I will write a container and in decoration, box decoration, I will pass the color here and will give some width media query dot of context dot size dot width and I will give some margin from the top. So as you can see the black container here. So I'll provide the margin from the top according to my choice. Now it's look good. Now I'll provide some border radius to a container here from the bottom left and bottom right. Let me provide some more height to the slider here because the user can see what all text we have wrote inside the slider clearly. Now in child, I will write a text. We will pass the text to the each slider here and will give some styling to the text widget here. So as you can see, the text on the each slider. Now we'll do some customization to show the text in more clear form. So I'll provide some height to the container here. So now our slider part is done, but I also want to show some dot-like structure below the slider. So as the slider will be moved, that dotted structure will also be moved and it will indicate that how much slider will be come next to that. So in carousel option, I will write a function name on page change here and will keep refreshing the index if we are going to the new page or slider here by using a set state method. I will write a int active index equals to 0 and will keep on updating the active index here, which will help us to move the dot indicator to the next dot as soon as the slider or page changes. So now I will move to the pop dev and will copy the smooth page indicator package from here and paste it on inside the perspec.ml file. As you can see on the smooth page indicator, you can see many designs or animations you want to show the indicator below your carousel slider. You can use any of the effect you want to show inside the app. There are many effects in the smooth page indicator package. So now I'll go to the home.dart page again and I will give some height and then we will show the widget name build indicator here. So let me create the widget build indicator here. So I've created a widget name build indicator here and so I want to show animated container here. So I will write an animated container and active index will pass the active index that we have wrote that will change as soon as the slider or page has been changed and then the on page function will be called and update the active index here. Now we'll give some length of the slider because we want to show only that much indicator how much slider are present here. In effect, I will pass a slide effect here. You can pass any effect according to your choice that I have shown you in the pubdev file like jump effect, swipe effect and many more what you like. Now I'll give some width and height of the dot how I want here and will give a active dot color. So when the dot is active, then the active dot color will show what color we have passed here. So it is done. Now, as you can see here, as soon as our slider move to the next slider, then our active index changes and it also move the dot slider to the next dot. So now I'll move to the column again and will pass a text breaking news here. The slider I have shown here are all the breaking news that we will get from the News API. So as you can see here, breaking news text appear here. Now I want to move to the left side of the screen. So I will go to the column and will write cross axis alignment dot start. Now I'll wrap up with the row because after the breaking news, I want to show a view all text where the user will press the view all text and can see all the breaking news that will pass them through the API. So it is done. I will change the color of the view all here, and I also want to provide a maximum space between the row, so I will use a main axis alignment dot space between. So using a cross-axis alignment, our build indicator is on the left side. So I will use a center widget to make it to the center of the screen. So it is done. Now I will copy the row again where we have passed the two text and will show a trending news now. So now if you want to provide any of the styling to the text here, then you can use a font family here. Basically, in the font family, you can pass the different font according to your choice. I will show you how to use a Google font here and will save that in the fonts folder and will call them in the font family. Though I will not use any font here, I am showing you just if you want to give more styling to the text widget here. So now I'll go to the website name Google font here. Here you can see many more Google font and you can use them according to your choice. So I am searching the Pacifico here and I will download the font family from here and will unzip the file and will create a new folder named fonts here where we will save all the fonts that we will use on our app and will paste inside the fonts folder. Now let's move to the Perspec ML and we want to show what font we are using in the font family section. In family, I will pass a font name Pacifico regular.ttf file here. So now I will show you how to use that inside the text widget. In font family, I will just write a Pacifico here that we have wrote inside the family of the Perspec ML. So as you can see, our text font has been changed. So now this I wrote just to show how to use a font inside the different text, and you can give the more styling to your text widget according to your choice. Though I will don't use any of the font family here, I will remove the fonts folder from the app. So now let's move to the home page again. We'll add the trending news section here. So first I will make the UI of the trending news. Then we'll use the news API to get the news in our trending news section. So here I will use the row. Now inside the row I will write the container. Now I will show the image using the image.asset here, and we'll call the image that we have saved in the images folder. So in the row, first I want to show the image of the news. Then we will use a column where I will show the title at the top and the short description about the news. I also want to tell you that so when the user will click on this news, then they will redirect to a web view through which they can read the news in more detail. So as you can see, I have wrote a container here, and in container I have gave a image using the image.asset, and we got the images that we have saved in the images folder. Now we used a clip react to provide the border radius to the image. Now I will write the text inside the row, and I will write some news here and will provide some styling to the text widget here. Now as you can see, it is showing some overflow error, so I will wrap up with the container and provide some fixed width to the container so that it takes only that much space that we want to provide in the container. So as you can see, as soon as we provide the width to the container, it changes the line automatically. I will also recommend you to don't provide the fixed width inside the container, because if you check the app on the multiple device, then because of the different screen size, you may face the overflow error on the different devices. So to make the app more responsive, you must use media query inside the width. Now I want that the title should be at the top, so I'll provide cross axis alignment dot start in the row. Now I'll provide some width between the image and the title. So as I have told you, just below the title, I want to provide a short description about the news. Then I will wrap up the container with the column here. Inside the column, I will write the container again and will provide a short description about the news here. Now you can also give the width to the description. We are providing the text widget to avoid the overflow error. Now let me provide the height between the title and the description. Now I am fixing the width according to my choice. You can provide the width according to your choice. Just make sure how much space you want to give at the right side of the screen so it will be more clear for the user to read the news. So now I will wrap up the row with the material widget here and will provide some elevation to look it more clear for the user to read the title and description about the news, and will provide some padding. Now we'll provide some border radius to a material widget. Now it's look good. Let me write one more section inside the trending news so I can show you how it will be in the form of the list view. I am just writing the UI here. As I have told you before, I will use a news API and will call all the news in the form of the list, and will use a ListView.builder to show all the news here. So it is showing some overflow error here. So I will wrap up the container with a single child scroll view so that user can scroll the screen according to his choice and there will be no overflow error. So now let's move to the pages folder and we'll create a file name landing page.dart here. Now inside the landing page.dart file, I will create a stateful widget name landing page, and I will write scaffold widget body container child column children. Now inside the children widget, I will show the image as I have shown in the UI before. So let me add the image here. So as you can see, I have added the image here and I have used image.asset to show the image that I have saved in the images folder. Now I have used a with media query dot of context dot size dot width so that our image will cover the complete width of the screen, and I provided some fixed height here and use a fitboxwidth.cover to use a complete width and height we have provided here. I have used some random image here. You can use any of the image according to your choice. Now I will remove that height and will use a media query for more responsive image so that we can test the app on the multiple devices. Now I'll wrap up the image with a clip react to provide some border radius to the image. So I will provide the border radius 20 here. Now I'll provide some margin from the horizontal direction and vertical too. Let me add the border radius according to my choice. Now I will write a text widget inside the column widget just below the image widget we have provided, and inside the text I will write news from the world for you and will provide some styling to the text widget here. I want that world for you should be in the center, so I'll provide the space between the words in the text widget and will make it to the center using a slash n here. Basically slash n changes the line if you use inside the text widget. So now it looks good, and now I'll write one more text below this text widget. So inside the text widget, I have wrote best time to read. Take your time to read a little more of this world. Now I'll provide some styling to this text widget. Now I'll use again slash n method so that I can provide some space between the text here and will make it to the center. If you don't want to use a slash n here, then you can use the text inside the column widget also. Just you need to wrap up the each text with the center widget so that it will move the each text widget to the center. Now I'll make a customize button name get started here so that when the user will click on the get started button, then they will directly move to the home page. Now I will use a container to make a customize button here and will inside the text I will write get started and I will provide some styling to the text widget here. Now I'll make the width media query dot of context dot size dot width and will center the text widget. Will provide some padding vertically. Now I will provide some height between the text widget and the customize button we have created. Now I'll wrap up the container with the material widget here so we can show our button in more highlighted form. Now I'm wrapping up the material widget with the container widget again because I want to also provide the width to the material widget we are providing here and will provide some elevation to the material widget here. Now I will move to the image and will wrap up the image with the material widget here and I will also want to provide some elevation to the image we have mentioned above. So our UI part is done. Now we'll use a news API org to get all the API and we'll show the news in our app. So let's move to the home page again and I will click on the get started button and will move to the home page. So inside the trending news section, I will use a news API to show all the news here. So first I will call the API and will store all the news in the form of the list and will use a ListView.builder widget to show all the news in the home page of the app. So let's go to the NewsApi.org website and I will show you how we can get the API from this website. First, as you can see, here is a Get API button. So if you didn't have the account in the News API website, then click on the Get API key and just fill some of the details, and you will get one API which will be directly connect to your link so that you can access all the API in the app. I have already signed in the website, so you can see my mail at the top. As you can see, there are the many APIs you can use according to your choice. But I want to show the news in the trending section, so I will use this link to show all the news in the list view that we have created in the UI of the trending news section. But before adding the API in our app, let's move to the pubdev file and we'll use a HTTP and we'll copy the HTTP package from here and paste it on perspecml file. I also want to tell you why I am using a HTTP package here, because as you can see on the API link, it usually starts with HTTP. So to call the HTTP in our app, we need to use HTTP package here so that we can call the API through the app and directly connect to the server, and we'll get all the information from the news API server and get the all the news in our app in the form of list, and we can show that using a list view builder widget. Now I will use a KCAC network image here package and will copy the package and paste it on perspecml file. So now let's move to the model and we'll create a article model.dart section here and we'll create a class name article model. Now inside the article model I will write some string here, and inside this string will get all the data from the API. In this trending news section, we'll call this API here, and inside this API you can see a list here, and now inside the article, as you can see, the list of map has been shown here. Now I want to call the article section and I want to show all the list of map inside my app. So I need to get each list here that is wrote inside the article's map here. So as you can see, in each list there is author, title, description, URL to image, content, etc. But we need these all five things in our app. So I will create a string name one by one. So string author, title, description, URL, and URL to image. And last, content. So now let's move to the service folder again and we'll create a new file name news.dart here, and inside the news.dart file I will create a class name news here and will write a list name news where we will save all our news that we will get through the API. Now I will create a get news function in the future and we'll use a string URL and inside the URL string I will copy the API or URL that we want to call through the app and get all the details or the list that have shown inside the article section. Now where response await http dot get URL. So I need to import the package here. So I will go to the http again and will copy the package link here and will paste it here. So inside this I will write URI dot parse URL. So through the get method we are getting all the things that have been wrote inside this URL and we are saving in the response. So I will write where JSON data and will decode the response that we have saved using the get method here, and if the JSON data status section is equals to OK, this is what I mean. So as you can see, if the status is OK, then it is calling the article map here. Now JSON data articles for each. Basically, I have told you articles are the list of map, and inside this map there are the list of source that we want to get here. So here is the map I'm talking about, and here is the all the list that I have shown you. So if the element URL to image is not equals to null and if the description and URL to image is not null, then we will get all the details here because URL to image and description are the main section here that we need on the app. As you can see on the total result, there are 7564 lists here. So there are the many cases where the URL to image and description may not be provided, but these two sections are the main to I want to show in the app. So I'm passing the condition that if the URL to image is not equals to null and description is not equals to null, then we'll save the list inside the news here. I had forgot to call article model here. So I will go to article model.dart again and we'll call all the string one by one. So now title. So I will get the title as you can see here. Now element title. So element is the first index he is talking about, and inside the first index I will I need the title here. So inside the inverted commas I am writing a title that will be saved in the title section here, and we'll do same for the description, URL to image, URL, content, etc. So it is done. Now I will use news.add article model to save all the articles one by one. So let's move to the home page and we'll call the list that we have saved in the news.dart file here. So I will create a list name articles here. So now I will write a get news function here to get all the news that we have saved on the news list in the news.dart file. In news class, we'll get all the news here, and in the set state method, so I'm writing a bool loading is because when the app will go to the home page, then it will call the API and get all the news in the trending news section. So it may take some time to load all the news and save on the list, then show on the home page of the app. So if it takes some time, then rather than showing the error here, I will use a circular progress indicator here to show that all the news are loading and will get that news from the API in just few seconds. So inside the set state, I will make the loading false because once we get all the news, then I want to show the news, so I will make it to false using a set state method here. So now I will create a stateless widget named block tile here and will paste the UI that we have wrote just for the trending news section so that we can call each time we want to show a list of the trending news. Then we can call the block tile here and will pass the image URL and title to show the each news one by one in the form of the list. So I need image URL, title, description here. Now where we have wrote just for the UI. So I will change and write image.network and will call the image URL, and same for the title and description. Now inside the body, I will write if the loading is true, then we want to show a circular progress indicator here, and if it is false, then we'll show all the news that we have shown in the home page. Now inside the container, I will write the list view builder so that we can show all the news that we have saved in the news.dart file. So in item builder, I will write the index, will get the article length using the item count. Now return block tile and will return the each list, description, image and the title one by one. So article index dot description, same for the image and the title. So it is done. Now let's move to the init state and we need to call a get news function here so that whenever the home page is called, get news function will be called and it will save all the list in the news list we have created here, and with the help of that list we can see all the news in our trending news section. So now let's move to the terminal and run the flutter run command. Wait for a few seconds. So our app has launched successfully. As you can see, we are facing some overflow pixel error here. So the image we have called from the API is not loading inside the trending news section. This is because I have used image.network in our block tile to load the image from the API. But we have also copy one of the package named Kekek network here. For this reason, I have copied the package before in the perspec.ml file because I want to show you that whenever you call the URL of the image from the API, never use image.network there. It will not load the image or it will take too much time to load the image. So for better experience, use always Kagag network in place of image.network. Now I'll move to the block tile and will change the image.network with a Kagag network. Now inside the Kagag network image, I will pass the image URL. Okay, we have wrote the Kagag network here and hot restart it again, but we are still facing some error. So I made a small mistake here. Inside the image URL, we need to call URL to image here. So we need to change it to URL to image here. Now hot restart it again. So as you can see, the image has been appeared now. So we are facing some scroll problem here. So inside the list view builder, I will write physics and clamping scroll physics. This will give a better experience whenever the user will scroll the news in the trending news section. Now it's look good. We need to give some margin from the bottom, so there will be a space between the two news that we have shown here. So we'll wrap up with the container here and we'll provide the margin from the bottom. So I'm writing edge insert dot only bottom 10.0. Now, as you can see here in the title and description, it is providing us all the title and description that has been wrote for the specific news from the API. But I don't want to show this much line in the title and description. So I will move to the text widget and will give the max line to show how much maximum line we want to show in the text widget. So I will write in title max 2, so it will show maximum 2 line here, and in the description I will write maximum line 3, so it will show us 3 lines in the description. So now it's look good. So as you can see, the user can read how much news they want to read in the trending news section. Now, I want that whenever the user will click on any of the news, then they will redirect to a web view where they can read a news in more detail. So I will move to the pages folder and will create a new file name article view.dart and will create a stateful widget name article view. Now we'll move to the perspec.yaml file and we'll call a WebView package here. Now you can use the updated WebView version from the pubdev also, but in the updated version of the WebView Flutter there are lot many changes, so you need to create a controller and many more files again and again. So I will refer you to use exact this version 3.0.1 that I wrote here, so that it will be easier for you to use a web view in Flutter. The newer version is more complex than this version. Usually I prefer this version in most of the app because it is easy for me to use a web view inside the app. Now let's move to the article view again, and inside the container I will write child and will write web view. Now initial URL, and we have to pass the URL that we have stored in the article model. So I am writing a string blog URL and will get the URL in blog URL and will pass it to the initial URL. So now let's move to the home dart again, and we need to write on gesture detector navigator dot push method so that we can move the user to the web view. Now in article view we need to pass the URL here, so I will write a URL in the string and will get the URL from the news list. Now we'll pass this URL to the blog URL. It is done. Now let's move the terminal again and we'll hot restart it again. click on the Get Started button, and when I click any of the news from here, then as you can see, we have successfully moved to the web view where we can read the news in more detail. But I want to provide some app bar at the top, so I will remove the container and will write a scaffold widget and will give a body as a container. Now I'll pass the same app bar that I have wrote in the home page. So I will move to the home.dart again. We'll copy the same app bar and we'll paste inside the scaffold widget. So it is done. Now hot restart it again. Now we'll click on any of the news. So as you can see the app bar here and the back arrow to move directly to the home page of the app. You can read any of the news from here in more detail that will send you to the web view and can access the news in more better way. We will move to the carousel slider, I mean breaking news section, and we'll call the API and we'll show the API in our slider. So let's move to the slider data.dart and here we will call the API through news API. Now let's move to the newsapi.org website and we will call the top headline API from here for our carousel slider. So as you can see, there are only 10 results on this API. So it will be best for our carousel slider because we don't need to show too much result in our carousel slider because we want in the limited form. Though as you can see on the API, there are the 10 result, but I want to show only 5 result in our carousel slider. So now let's move to the slider data.dart and we will remove all the list that we have made just for the UI. And here we will call the API that I have just shown you in the news API website. So let's move to the news.dart file and I will copy the same function that we have wrote inside the news.dart file and we will paste it inside the slider data.dart. All the things will be remain same. We just need to change the some of the function name and we need to call the different API in our URL. So now I will change the class name here and we'll name it to slider and we will also change the slider model here because we need to call the URL to image, description, and title here. So I will need all the things from the API that we have wrote for the other section. So I will move to the article model.dart file and will copy the same class from here and paste it inside the slider model.dart file. We'll name the class name slider here and inside the slider model. So now I will rename the class name here and all things will remain same because we need the same data what we have wrote in the trending news section. So I will change the list name to sliders here. We'll rename the get slider function here. Now I'll copy this link or API and we'll paste it here so that we can get all the 10 result from this API and we can add one by one in our slider list here. So I will rename all the things like slider model, etc. So it is done now. Now let's move to the home dot file again. We need to create a function name get slider here as same as we had created a function name get news here. So I will change all the things according to the slider list we have created in slider data.dart file. So all the things will remain as same as we have wrote for the trending news section. We are just calling the different API for our carousel slider. So I've wrote the complete get slider function here. Now I will call the get slider function in the init state. Now let's move to the carousel slider dot builder file and we will pass the image and title here. So let's move to the build image widget and we need to make some of the changes here because it is calling the image from the asset but we are calling the image from the network, I mean in the HTTP format. So as you have watched the second part, you know that why we have don't use image.network here rather than we are using a kekek network image here. So I will remove the image.asset and will pass a kekek network image here and inside the image URL will pass the image that we'll get from the API. Now in the res folder I will make some changes and in slider.index I will call the URL to image here. In res1 I will call the title. So it is done. Now hot restart it again and as you can see we can see now all the news that we have got from the news API. Here are all the 10 results that I have shown you in the total result. So we are saving all the 10 result from the API in the sliders list and in item count we are passing the slider.length to 10 and then we are telling the dot indicator to make it to 10 so that it can indicate that there are the 10 sliders which are present now in the carousel slider. But I don't want to show all the 10 slider here. I need to show only 5 slider. So in item count, I will remove the slider dot length here and will write it to 5 and will do same for the dot indicator. Now hot restart it again. So as you can see, we can now only see the top 5 list that we have saved in our sliders list here. So making the count to 5, we are telling that we need only top 5 list from the slider list. Those slider list have a 10 result in it because it is calling the all the result and saving the result one by one in the sliders list. But I need to show only 5. You can change according to your need. If you want to show 4, 3 or more than 5, you can change the count accordingly. So now it's look good. So our breaking news part is done and we can see all the news that we are getting from the news API in our carousel slider. Now let's move to the category section. So in our category section, I want that whenever the user will click on the any of the category, then it will show them all the news related to that category. Let's move to the pages folder and we'll create a new file name here, category news.dart here, and we'll write a stateful widget name here, category news. Now scaffold widget, body, container, child, column, Now I will copy the same app bar and will paste it inside the category news section. So I will remove the row from here because in the app bar I want to show which category news is showing at the app bar. So when the user will click on the business, then in the app bar I will show the business. If the user click on entertainment, then in the app bar I will show the entertainment. So from the string we will get that user have clicked on which of the category. So I writing the string name here, and in category news we'll get that the name of the category that the user have selected, and we'll pass the same category name in our text widget that will be our app bar. Many of the users might be thinking that there are the 5 categories in our app. Now we will create the each model for each category like business model, entertainment model, general model, and we'll call the API for the each category we have when the user will click. So doing by this process, we need to write lots of code in our VS Code, but I don't do anything like that. So through one API, I will tell you how to call all the 5 categories, and we will create only one model through which we will get all the news of the specific category one by one. So we don't need to create 5 model for the each category we want to show. I will create one model and I will pass one API, and I will keep on changing when the user will click on any of the category, and he can see the news of the respective category one by one. So by this process and through the less code, we can get all the news for the specific category we are looking for. So if you like my idea and how I want to show the news in my app, do not forget to like and subscribe my channel so that you won't miss out any of the exciting videos we have in the store. So let's go and implement that I have just explained you. So I will create a stateless widget name so category here, and here at the top I will show my image, then the description and the title. So I will create a column children and will pass the image using a Kakak network here. We will do all the things same that we have done for other news like trending news, breaking news, etc. So it is done. Now let's move to the container. Now I'll remove the column from here and will pass a list view dot builder. And so now let's move to the model and we'll create a show category dot dart here, and we'll pass a class and we'll copy the same article model class here and paste it here, and we'll rename the class name to show category model here, and all the string will be remain same. Now let's move to the services folder and we'll create a new file name so category news.dart, and we'll copy the same thing from the slider data.dart and paste it inside this file, and we rename the class name to category news to show category news, because we have already used a category news name in our different dart file, so we can't use the same name in our class here. So I will also rewrite the list name here, and will also change the name of the function to get category news. Now here comes the main part what I have explained you before. Now I have told you through one API I will get all the categories news from the API. So let me show how I will do that. So here you can see I will call this API here, and here you can see the category name. It is given business here. So when the user will click on the entertainment, then we will change the category equals to entertainment here. And if we will change to sports, then we'll change it to sports. So how the user will click on any of the category, we will keep on changing the API one after that. So let me show you how I will do that. Though you can see the equals to US, you can change the any of the country according to your choice. You just need to give your country code here, and it will show all the news related to the that category and specific country in the list view. So the function we have wrote get category news will write a string category here. Now I'll copy the same API and paste it here, and inside the category I will pass the string that will be passed in the category of that get category news function. Now all the things will remain same, and will add the all the list one by one in our category list. So it is done. Now I'll copy the same get news function and will paste in inside the get category news.dart file, and will do the customization according to our choice, and we'll just rename all the things will be remain same. We just need to rename the sum of the list and the model that we have passed here. So it is done. Now as you can see on the get category news function we have wrote widget.name here. So as I have told you that it will be keep on changing whenever the user will press on any of the category here. Now in the init state I will call the get news function here, We'll move to the home.dart file again and we'll copy the same ListView.builder and paste it here. Now in item count, I will write categories.length and will pass it to the show category. We'll pass the image, description and title. Now I'll move to the home.dart file and where we have shown all the category in our category tile, I will wrap up the container with a gesture detector and in on tab, I will push the user to the category news.dart file and will give the category name here. Make sure whenever you are passing the name to the get category news, then it should be in the lower case. Here you can see that we have passed the business. B in capital letter, but in the API there should be all in the small letter. Otherwise, you will get the error and you can't get the things from the API according to the user chooses the category in the app. So now it is done. We'll hot restart it again and when I will click on the any of the category here, so as you can see, we can see all the news related to the that category here. So here the app bar name is business and it is showing all the news related to the business here. Now let's move to the category news section again and we will give some styling to the image and text here. So now it's look good. Now I want that whenever the user will press in any of the news from here, then they will redirect to a web view where they can read the news in more detail that we have done same for the trending news section. Wrap up the container with a gesture detector here and we'll move it to the article view and we'll pass the URL in a blog URL. will hot restart it again, and when I'll click on any of the news, now as you can see, they have moved to the web view of that news here. So now as you can see, if I will click on any of the news in the business news, then they will redirect me to the web view of that specific news. Now click on entertainment. Now as you can see, AppBar name changed to entertainment, and it is showing me all the things related to the entertainment here. Now same for the health. So it is showing me all the things related to the health, and same for the sports. So as I have said you before, just writing by one model like category model dot dart and just writing the few lines of code in the category news section, we have covered all the 5 category that we have wrote inside the home page. So I have taught you by using the just one API, you can use the all the things related to the category if the user clicks on any of the category. If many of the users will write the different code for the each category, when the user will press, then the it will take him lot of time to write so much code inside the VS code, and it may take lot of time to make this app. So our category part is done. Now let's move to the breaking news and trending news section again, because as you can see on the breaking news where we have wrote the text breaking news, at just right side you can see the view all section. We didn't add anything related to the view all till now. So I want that whenever the user will press on the view all text, then they can see all the breaking news on the app. So let's move to the pages folder, and I will create a new file name all news.dart, and will create a stateful widget name all news. Now we'll write a scaffold widget body container. Now we'll pass the string name, string news here, like what type of news it is. It is breaking or trending news, and we'll show that in the app bar. These are all the things that we have already done in the category news section here. So I will not explain you much on this section. I will just do copy and paste thing, and will make the view all section here. So it is done. Now, many of the users might be thinking that in trending news, we are passing the different API, and in our breaking news, we are passing the different API. I have just now showed you how to use one Dart file and pass multiple APIs by just simple line of the code. So I will use just the same process, and I will show you how I will do that. Widget.news. In widget.news, I will get either breaking or trending, and I will add the news at the last. So it will become breaking news and trending news. I will copy the same list view builder here. Now it comes the main thing, like how I will So two APIs in just one Dart file. So inside the item count, I will write widget.news. If is equals to breaking, then we'll show slider length, because if it is breaking news, then we will show the all the news that in our slider, and if it is category, if it is trending news, then it will automatically take the news that we have saved in the articles list. Will do all the same thing in the image. So if the widget.news is breaking, then it will get the image from the slider section, or if not, then it will show the news from the trending section. So many of the users might create a two Dart file inside the pages folder where they will write breaking news.dart and trending news.dart. But I have wrote all the two things in one file named allnews.dart, and I have changed all the things, and I have handled two cases by adding a simple line of code inside the item count and different section here. So for this idea also, you can hit the like button to this video. So we have passed all the condition to image, description, title and URL. Now in views all, I will wrap up with a gesture detector, and in on tab, I will use a navigator.push method, and in material page root will write all news, and in all news I will pass a news name breaking, and will do same for the trending news views all section. So after hot restart, we need to go to all news.dart file again, and we need to write a set state function in get news and get slider function. Now hot restart it again, and when I will click on the view all, then you can see the app bar name breaking news here and all the news related to the breaking news section, and we'll do same for the trending news, and you can see the app bar name trending news and same all the news related to the trending news. And now I want to give some margin, so I will give the margin inside the container and will give horizontal 10.0 here. Now I will hot reload it again, and now it's look more good. Now we'll check the breaking news again, and you can see all the breaking news here. So our complete app is done. Now I will walk you through the app we have built from the scratch. So here is my complete news app. So it is a landing page now, and you can see the image and the text we have written news from around the world for you. Now I will click on the Get Started button and we will move to the home page of the app. So at the top you can see the different category like business, entertainment, general, health, sports. Now you can see a breaking news section here with a carousel slider which is moving automatically, and you can see all the top breaking news here with the image and the title. And just at the bottom you can see the trending news section where you can see all the news in the trending section. So when you will click to any of the category like business, then you will move to the page named business here and you can see all the news related to the business here. Now if you will click on any of the news, then you will move to the web view of that news so that you can read the news on more detail. Now let's move back to the home page again, and when I will click on the sports, then it will show me all the news related to the sports here, and will click it on again and can read the news on more detail. Now let's go back. So in the breaking news section you can see view all. So when you will click on the view all, then you can see all the breaking news, and when you will click on any of the breaking news, as same you can read that news on more detail. Now let's go back, and in the trending news section you can see the different news, and when we'll click on the news again, then you can read that news also in more detail. Now view all. So in view all you can read all the news related to the trending news. Thank you for joining us in this Flutter news app development journey. Let's quickly recap what we have covered today. We set up our Flutter environment for app development, explored how to fetch real-time news data with the News API org, created a beautiful and interactive news app interface, and most importantly, you have gained the skills to build your own news app. If you found the video valuable, please consider subscribing to our channel and giving it a thumbs up. Your support keeps us going. Got questions or feedback? Drop them in the comment below. We love hearing from you. So keep coding, keep having fun. Until then, I will see you next time. Thanks for watching.